In the 2021-22 preseason, the Los Angeles Lakers went 0-6. For a team with such high expectations and new additions in the offseason, the preseason definitely didn't flatter them. A lot of people were having a laugh about this, saying, the Lakers are finished, they're a retirement home, they'll miss the playoffs, etc. But obviously LeBron and the Lakers didn't start their starting five in all the games together, so it was assumed they'd figure things out. Fast forward to the end of the season, and the Lakers finished with a 33-49 record, meaning they'd miss out on the playoffs entirely. When you see the Lakers' preseason record, and you compare it to the regular season one, it's hard to avoid asking the question, does NBA preseason actually matter? Especially when the eventual NBA champion Golden State Warriors were 5-0 in preseason last year. Today I'm going to try and answer this question. Does NBA preseason actually matter? Does NBA preseason actually hold some decent weight? And hopefully it gives you some clarity on how to judge your favorite NBA team this preseason. NBA preseason gives us a glimpse into NBA teams and their preparation before the season starts, so sometimes it's easy to overreact, especially when we haven't had basketball for a few months. If your team does very well in the preseason, it's hard not to get excited. But does preseason really mean anything? Well, let's see how the best and worst preseason teams in the last 5 seasons did in the regular season. Over the last 5 seasons, every technically top-ranked preseason team has made the playoffs. This includes last season Golden State Warriors, who won the championship, the 2020-21 Lakers, who lost in the first round versus the Suns, and the 2018-19 LA Clippers, who lost in the first round versus the Warriors, but not without coming back from a 32-point deficit in Game 2 to tie the series 1-1. And although technically every top preseason team has made the playoffs, in 2019, the Pelicans had the same 5-0 record as the Milwaukee Bucks, but for some reason they weren't technically number one, probably due to the way they won their games in terms of points against, for, etc. And that team actually never made the playoffs that season. As well as last season, the New York Knicks and Sacramento Kings both went 4-0 in the preseason, and neither even made the play-in. Well, that's pretty interesting. How about the worst ranked teams? In the 2020-21 season, the Phoenix Suns were ranked last, with a 1-4 record, and they ended up making the NBA Finals. But in the 2021-22 season, obviously the Lakers went 0-6, and missed the playoffs entirely. With both the best and worst ranked teams, the evidence is pretty inconclusive. So, perhaps it's best to find other ways to understand the relation between NBA preseason and NBA regular season and playoffs. The best way to actually understand NBA preseason and its relation to the actual regular season is to actually watch the games. Yeah, well, no kidding. Well, we should actually watch the games and see what's transferable to regular season basketball, and not just pay attention to the final score. A lot of times when people judge things, they only look at the final result, and ignore everything preceding it. For NBA preseason, the end result almost never matters, because there are a lot of variables that go into it. Majority of the time, the best players only play 3 to 4 games, and only play around 20 to 25 minutes a game, and a lot of coaches are messing with rotations, different styles of play, etc. This doesn't mean, however, that we can completely disregard preseason altogether. There's valuable information to gather from these preseason games. For example, the Lakers in preseason last season looked quite lifeless, apart from just their record, and had no chemistry whatsoever when their actual players played together in preseason. This was extremely apparent in the regular season as well, amongst other things, and was a big reason why they didn't perform last season. Russell Westbrook as well in the preseason didn't show out. He played the second most minutes behind Anthony Davis and put up only 9.5 points on pretty disappointing efficiency, but you could move past that. Most concerningly though, Westbrook averaged nearly 6 turnovers a game, reflecting how, in that roster, the fit didn't fit. And boy was that the case in the regular season as well. Another example on the flip side of how NBA preseason can tell us a lot was the Chicago Bulls last season. The Bulls had a lot of new major offseason acquisitions last season, like Lonzo and DeRozan, Caruso as well. So there was a lot of questions about chemistry and fit going into the preseason and the regular season. Those were almost instantly thrown away after about 3/4 of preseason action, as it looked like they've been playing together for years. They went 4-0 in the preseason, steamrolling almost everyone, and this was largely how the start of the season went. But unfortunately, injuries to Lonzo, Caruso, and a bunch of other guys slowed them down though, from a 1 seed to an eventual 6 seed. But this preseason reflected still very well how their season would eventually go. Oddly enough, one of the teams they played in the preseason twice, the Cleveland Cavaliers, they smoked. And when I watched the Cavs, it looked like another tank season for them. But as the preseason went on, they continued to get better and finished with an average 2-3 record. In the regular season though, they surprised a lot of people and finished comfortably above 500 and cementing a nice young core that looks to be even better now with the addition of Donovan Mitchell. So, sometimes the preseason can trick you a little bit, at least it did with the Cavs for me. Well, we've looked at some of the best and worst records over the last 5 years, and we've looked at some preseason teams of last year and what happened with them. So, does NBA preseason actually matter? It absolutely does. NBA preseason matters because it can bring up many questions. What doesn't matter is your preseason record, which I think a lot of people happen to mistake for NBA preseason mattering itself. It's important to look at each team and identify what will carry over to the regular season. Things like shooting efficiency and score usually don't matter, but things like team chemistry and how comfortable players look on the court actually do matter. So this season, when you watch NBA preseason, don't overreact to your team's final record. Instead, focus on the intangibles and the things that look to transfer over into the regular season. If you enjoyed this video, you can check out my latest video, the one criminally underrated NBA rookie. Thank you for watching, I value your time and I hope you enjoyed. And as always, stay rested. See you in the next one.